I kind of want to talk about Steam versus Epic.
Yeah, let's go with that. I mean, because we did talk a little bit about
The developers.
kind of how developers got were kind of caught in the middle there, but yeah, Steam versus Epic is kind of interesting. I think it's kind of related to a bit about how yeah, how Epic kind of stepped into the Improbable versus Unity thing.
Very
One of the
blazingly, even.
right. I mean, and I think one of the things that you kind of you kind of see is that Steam was kind of, Epic was kind of really looking like they wanted to have a horse in the race. I think part of that is because they were because Epic has their new Epic Store, and they're kind of trying to compete against Steam. And it's kind of interesting to look at why such a thing is happening, though. Because one of the interesting things is that they essentially Steam was kind of like the top dog time. When it came out, it's kind of like one of the first big distribution platforms, and people have had a hard time really competing with Steam.
Right. Even retailers can't.
Right.
GameStop, at least a GameStop near me, has completely ended PC game support. Like they don't sell PC games at all anymore.
Right. Yeah, I mean, essentially because it's just faster, easier, and more convenient to get your the games on Steam instead.
Yeah, it's easier for them to sell the Steam prepaid cards.
Right.
Which I don't even know how that works money wise. Do they buy the cards from Steam and then resell them?
Yeah. So generally, Steam will sell the cards at a discount. So
like wholesale.
Right, but yeah, basically at a wholesale price.
Gotcha.
And then basically, the store will basically sell it for a retail price, and they make a profit based on the retail price. Steam potentially loses a little bit of money. Valve will lose a little bit of money from Steam, from basically selling from Steam. But the flip side is that they potentially reach audiences they couldn't reach otherwise. I'm gonna go back to the first town real quick. I want to mess with the inventory.
Oh. Okay, fine. Which I always kind of imagine with prepaid cards that you're kind of selling like imaginary money in a sense, or credited money, I guess would be a better.
Right.
Because you're buying credits for their platform, basically.
Right.
Anyways, so for the longest time, Steam's had a monopoly on PC gaming. And
I wouldn't say a monopoly, but they definitely have had a lot more of a. They've been a very dominant force.
Right, and
to the point.
Go ahead.
But to the point where they've been a little gotten a little callous. Because they started out kind of being it was one of those things where originally it was a for indies, you get your game on Steam.
The green light.
Right. Or just get your game on Steam, and that was basically
more than anything you could get before.
Right. It was amazing. It's an amazing thing. You were going to get be able to sell your game. It was a lot easier than trying to get your game into retail.
Yeah, how many indie games got into retail shelves.
Right.
I can't even think of any off the top of my head.
Right. But yeah, I mean, like, but that was the thing, is that, yeah, like, people, retail, like, retail was hard to get, and so, retail was basically hard to get your
foot in the door.
Right. And so what happened was that as kind of Steam became more and more dominant, essentially, they kind of, like, got a little bit more, like I said, callous.
That was your word.
Yeah. A little bit more, and they kind of, they focused a little bit more on trying to increase their own profits, like, but not necessarily working for the individual, like, and I mean, they're a business, so I mean, duh, of course they're gonna do that. Like, this should not come as a surprise to anyone. That basically this is what they want to do.
Right. And Dejara comments that Valve was complacent.
Yeah, complacency. That's another really good way to look at this, where they really they didn't feel like they had to kind of keep up with things,
because they didn't at the time.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. Pretty much, directly that. And so what happened? So what happened was that suddenly it was. And I mean, this is not to kind of say bad things about Steam. Like, Steam has a lot of good elements to it. It's a very kind of, because it publishes a wide variety of things. Like, it's very easy to have to basically get the games you want. If you want a game, it's probably on Steam. If you can't find it on Steam, then you probably have trouble finding it pretty much anywhere, really.
Right, and I personally don't have digital currency. I primarily have cash at my disposal.
Right.
So for me to buy games, either requires me to buy gift visas, which I hate because of their surcharge fees, or buy off Steam. If I can't get off Steam, then I deal with it, but I'd rather just buy off Steam because I can get, their prepaid cards, no tax, be happy.
Right.
And that's just my situation with that.
Right. And yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that because of your kind of specific situation, it works much better for you. But so yeah, and the other kind of benefit of Steam is that it's a Netflix thing, where they can basically, because they have so many games, and they kind of look at people's behaviors, they can start doing pattern matching.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like, Steam was like, oh, hey, you play a lot of pixel art games. Have you tried Enter the Gungeon? And I was like, oh, hey, this is 50% off. I've heard good things about this game, so yeah, I'll give it a try. And so, from that perspective, like, they were able to, make a sale, because they knew, me, essentially. They knew things well enough to say, oh, okay, he likes this, so he'll probably do this over here as well.
Right. Oh. But it's so much fun when the algorithm gets it wrong too, though.
Well, yeah, and so the interesting thing is, like, the algorithm, like, Amazon is, perpetually messed up, because me and my significant other at the time used to order from the same account. So it's like, you like art books and, like, really offbeat movies and metal CDs and, anime and And so, I'm sure it's one of those things where, like, I was very confusing for their algorithms.
Right. And with Steam, some of the algorithm be like, "Oh, you looked at this store page, so you might be interested in this." I look at a lot of store pages.
Right.
Just to look at games when they're on sale. So it's just like, "Oh, you looked at what is it, Neo Capora? So you like visual novels." No,
Right.
I've never purchased a visual
Right.
novel in my life.
Right. Thanks for trying. Yeah, you get an F for effort, but
right, exactly. No, I played Doki Doki Literature Club. I did play that one.
Oh.
But that's because it was free and I heard it was messed up and I never got to the messed up part of it. It's like 2 hours into the game and I'm just like, ugh. Anyways, I'm sorry. I am not focused right now.
That's fine. We kind of do it's kind of the last topic here. So, but yeah, so essentially, then Epic comes along, and the other, like I said, the other interesting thing is like people have tried to kind of dethrone Steam. EA had their Origin game and whatnot.
You play.
Yeah, you play from Ubisoft. And so obviously the kind of the latest one to do this has been Epic. Epic basically has a store. And what's really interesting is that I think the thing that they did right compared to a lot of other people is basically they kind of hit at just the right time. They hit at just the right time to kind of basically to get people, because like one of the big things that people Epic was doing was kind of like really screwing over indies, to put not too fine a point on it.
They're trying to focus on the AAAs because those are what makes the most money for them.
Right, and it was one of those things where they kind of like they really kind of dropped the ball, because like at one point the algorithm made it so that indie games weren't showing up, and like there was a drop in sale, and so Valve later claimed that this was a bug and was not intentional, but still it's kind of going back to what we were talking about with the Unity thing. It's like once developers kind of realize, well, I'm at the mercy of this particular person, this particular situation. How can I not be at their mercy? And so you had a lot of developers that felt like they were kind of like not necessarily being treated very well. And so so they got kind of a they basically got kind of like really skittish about this, and they basically kind of wanted to then all of a sudden kind of Epic kind of shows up on the scene and says, oh, by the way, hey, we've got this new store. And so and kind of like what we said, at this point now the Epic basically is trying to kind of basically kind of get attention,
right?
And mind share, not only from developers but also from players. Because like you when you open up a new store like this, you kind of you have to have kind of you have to appeal to two different groups. On one group, you have to basically kind of appeal to the people that
are making the games.
Exactly, making games, and then you have to appeal to the people playing the games, because that's your whole point. Kind of Steam's origin was with the orange box, really, and basically so that this is one of the things where they kind of got people to buy the game, install Steam, and that was kind of like the way in. And you can kind of see kind of something similar with Epic, where the way I got into the Steam store is that I installed Fortnite just to kind of try it out and see what people were talking about.
Oh, the Epic store, you mean?
Well, no, I installed Fortnite. When they came out with the Epic store, it was part of the Fortnite launcher, essentially.
Right. Yeah, you said Steam at first. That's.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That's how it's correct.
The way I got.
into the Epic
the
Store.
Epic Store was I installed Fortnite, which is an Epic game. Was trying that out, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, here's our new store that you can basically try for free, basically that you will get for because you have the
Fortnite launcher.
Right, exactly. And so it's kind of the same thing that happened with, like I said, the Orange Box Steam, where it just kind of like slipped in there. Now I have the Epic Store on my computer. I have very little reason to get rid of it now. And this kind of also means that I have Fortnite permanently installed on my computer.
Pumpkin brought up a good point as well.
Mm.
Discord has a game store now.
Yeah,
and they seem to be catering very heavily towards indie games on it as well.
Right. I mean, this makes sense because you have like indie games are kind of like like an easy thing to go for, a relatively easy thing to go for, because you want to they kind of have very few other choices besides the digital distribution platforms. So especially if Steam is looking like it's not gonna be so friendly to indies anymore, whether intentionally or by a bug in the algorithm. This means basically that other companies can potentially step in and really kind of benefit and say, hey, look, we're catering to your specific interest.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of interesting. So them stepping into the Unity versus Improbable fight means that obviously this again, this was a PR move on them. They were they wanted to come in, show that they were the good guys, showing that they were the ones, they weren't the ones changing their terms of service to exclude someone and throw people's development into disarray. And so it becomes this very interesting situation where like they're essentially they get a lot more attention because of that. And so it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Like for right now, it feels like the Epic Store is very small. Like I was surprised at how few games they were really selling.
Right. I haven't looked at it.
It's really small. Let me take a look at it.
Do I have it installed? I know I have Fortnite installed on one of my hard drives. Maybe I don't. Maybe I deleted it. I'm not sure. I have Epic Games Launcher.
Yeah, so looking at it, just counting real fast, it looks like they're selling 13 games right now. Maybe 14, and some, of course, some of these are coming soon type games.
Right, so they're trying to sell quality over quantity.
That's kind of, I mean, I think that's what we're kind of going for. I think it's also they want to make it feel like that it's very high quality stuff, at least initially. I mean, because I can imagine eventually they're going to want to sell as many different types of games as possible. So
right, but they're trying to differentiate themselves from Steam.
Right.
By saying, yeah, you can get anything on Steam, but we have the good stuff.
Right.
And Ubisoft has pulled their future projects off of Steam to sell on the Epic Store instead.
Yeah. I'm looking at the Epic Store right now. Yeah, the Division 2 available pre-purchase for $60.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so that's potentially kind of interesting. And yeah, if Epic's made deals like this, exclusivity deals, Yeah, that's potentially really interesting. And then, like I said, like on the short term, they're giving away games for free. Like right now, they're selling, What Remains of Edith Finch. They gave away Super Meat Boy, and then originally they gave away Subnautica.
Some really good games.
Yeah. I mean, these are like really high quality games, and they're basically going to be selling other games. Like they're going to be selling the PC version of Journey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I heard a lot of good things about Journey, but I don't really know anything about it.
It was supposed to be like a really interesting multiplayer experience because
People
you
just kind of come
basically
in and out of your game.
yeah, and there's no like direct chat, so you have to kind of do everything with basically kind of symbols and signals, and you know have one person, if you just move in a direction, kind of assuming the other person's going to potentially follow you or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard a lot of people loved Journey.
Yeah, but it was a PlayStation exclusive for such a long time.
Oh, was it? Okay, that's why I never played it.
Yeah.
I have one PlayStation. Okay, I have a couple of PlayStation exclusives that I've actually gone out to watch Let's Plays of.
Right.
Because I'm a PC gamer. I'm a Switch gamer, but I'm primarily PC. The Last of Us. Oh my god, I love that game. That's one of the things that I love that game, and I've never even played it. And whatever David Cage game it was, Detroit.
Oh yeah.
That one. Okay. Like, it was okay.
Yeah. Sometimes games have a lot of attention that,
like,
or really, they really, maybe should, but
well, I think my issue with watching Detroit was I was watching the Game Grumps play it.
They don't necessarily sell the experience very well.
And I'm just, I didn't know that Aaron could suck at a walking simulator. Which way do I go? I don't know. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I gave that a few episodes. I'm just like, oh, I can't. Even I, who love these two idiots, am going, oh, you guys are idiots. Of course, I wouldn't be doing any better, but
right.
I don't stream games that I know I'm going to be. Oh wait, yes I do.
I was gonna say, careful about that.
I forgot I did stream Rust a couple of times. Oh yeah, that's right. That was the thing. Anyways, moving on. Which are all my... No, wait, no, they're not. I should put that on YouTube. Anyways. By the way, I have a YouTube channel where I upload all of this, all edited and pretty, or I try to. Check that out.
Yes.
And
part of our format changes to try to kind of make that, work a little bit better. So.
Yeah. So we're trying. How are we on time? I don't know. It's 11.
You want to call it?
I mean, we're calling it like 15 minutes short, but I'm good. Are you good?
I'm good.
You satisfied?
We'll have good stuff. So, if anybody has any questions, I guess we can take some last minute questions, maybe.
Yeah. If anyone wants anything, and if you want to talk about anything at all, now is your chance. And then hear us rant about it for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, something like that. They're silent.
Well, there's the delay. So.
It's like 5 seconds. They don't want to talk to me anymore. Nah, I'm used to it. I'm used to indifferent silence.
I'm sorry, you were saying?
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, usually just get ignored.
So. Dejara's question marking us. Do you have anything you want to talk? You want to talk about, Dejara? Like any topics or anything? Because we're opening up the forum to the chat. So we can talk about Blue Mage some more. For a little bit.
Yeah, the other thing, if you want to, spend a couple more minutes, is like, what do you think of Torchlight 2?
It's fun. I like it.
How does it compare to, say, Diablo 3?
Two completely different games. This is very... I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see what...
See what
the end game looks like.
Mm.
Because like Diablo 3, it's all about end game. Like the leveling is just kind of a chore. I'd have to see. Oh, Dejara threw a heavy topic.
Wow.
I mean, future topic. What would you do differently with Meridian 59 if you knew then what you know now?
Wow.
That's kind of a heavy topic there.
Right. I mean, like, to be honest though, I can give a short answer, and I mean that would be like not really much. I mean, I looking back at it, I'm an introvert. I overthink things, and to be honest, like, I think I did the best I could at the time, and like most of my limitations were not knowledge. Most of the limitations were more ability, like marketing, being able to do a lot more things. And things, again, kind of other things in the field. I mean, the reason I'm not running anymore because we lost our billing service. Like right before I kind of shut down or basically sold off Meridian to the original developers. In order to keep it running, it was basically when we lost our billing provider, and I was trying to find another billing provider, but then somebody dropped the ball, and frankly, what was happening was I was up against the deadline where I was going to have to pay business taxes, business fees to keep the business running. In California, that's $800. I'm like, I'm not making money off this. I really don't want to keep a business around to, I'm literally not making any money off. So basically, like a lot of it's not knowledge, like I said, a lot of it's just kind of ability, and trying to find, kind of the right, I kind of wish like I could have had it been a bigger success. Yes. But like, do I have specific, things like, I should have done X or Y or Z differently? Like, not really. I think it was I think it's one of those things kind of talking about indie games. I mean, indie games are kind of an accepted thing, but when I started running Near Death Studios back in 2000, like indie games were like indie games were like the closest we had to indie games was basically like the shareware games of the 80s and 90s. And like what we were doing was quite on a very different scale, and like I was kind of I was blazing some different trails, and but I think I did a decent. I like to think I did a decent job of kind of figuring out what to do, scrambling around on my feet. I guess like the one thing I may have liked to have done was been to focus a little bit more on business and understand business better. which is kind of the motivation for why I helped write the book I did, because I had a lot of hard-won lessons learned from running businesses. But I mean, this is something you kind of still do today, and I think like one of the realities of business is like it's a lot of it is understanding, having the right allies, I guess is a good way to put it. Having good mentors and things like that, and like like the problem is at the time there really wasn't really anyone I could talk to about this type of thing. I was the one that people came and talked to about this. Like, oh hey, you've run this game for like, I want to do something similar. Can you give me some advice? And kind of the plans were always to try to kind of parlay Meridian 59 into something bigger, into turning into a real game company. But we were always kind of like on that wild hairy edge of of just breaking even. We were not, I was not paying people very essentially below minimum wage because they were salaried. On an hourly basis, I was not paying them minimum wage. But but the flip side of that is that I wasn't expecting people to put in 80-hour weeks and whatnot. There definitely was no crunch expected in ours. So I mean, I worked long hours because it was my company and I wanted to watch it succeed. But there's no way I was going to ask anybody to like hey, can you like work 80 hours this week? And so like as far as do I have any special knowledge now that I didn't have then that would have made it more successful? I don't really think so, to be honest. I think there's things I do differently for a new company. And I think the flip side too is the other thing that kind of keep in mind, and I don't want to make this sound too snarky, but like you really kind of need to know who you're getting into business with.
Which ties back to the podcast today.
Right, exactly. Like who you're in business with, and like making sure you have open communication. Because like I said, like losing our billing provider was kind of a blow for us, and it came kind of suddenly, where they were like, yeah, in about 2 months you're not gonna have a billing provider, and it was like, wait, what? And like that's just something that like it's hard to really plan for, because like one of the problems you run into when you change billing providers, like you have to change over all the information. Like you can't just like you can't like one company cannot easily give another company a bunch of people's credit cards without it looking really fucking suspicious as fuck.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure probably merchant accounts probably have restrictions on that in order to avoid the perception of people buying credit card numbers in bulk like that, like they do on the bulk market. And so even if I did find another billing provider, I probably would have lost a number of people who were subscribing. I mean it's just tough all over the place. So
you did the best you could with what you had.
Right.
It wasn't a situation of not knowing something.
Right. There was never a point where I went like, fuck, if I had just known this, then totally avoid.
Which is, I think those are the kind of the hardest lessons to learn from, when you generally give your all, and it's just not enough.
Right.
To reach the goal.
Right, and like one of the things I always kind of was worried about when I started Near the Studios and we bought Meridian 59 is like knowing when to quit. I think that's one of the hardest things to do, is because you're very emotionally invested into this. Like I was very emotionally invested into Meridian 59. I was emotionally invested into running my own company. I'd been through a lot of hardship for the company. I wanted to see it succeed. And so but knowing at what point do you say, okay, this is enough. I can't do this anymore because I need to kind of focus on something else. And so I mean, I was pretty fortunate where on a personal level, while I was running the business, I had some opportunity to do a lot of consulting and contract work, which is basically what allowed me to get out of the debt that I incurred, starting the company. But to be honest, I probably would still be running the company today, at least part time, if we had not lost our billing provider. So I don't know if that satisfactorily answers your question, Dejara, but hopefully you got something useful out of it.
But that's the answer you got.
Right.
Yeah, that brought us up to 3 hours. That's good. Thank you for the filler.
Wow.
You're heart-wrenching.
Wow. Okay.
Honest talk. Thank you for your filler. Oh my god, I feel terrible now. I'm editing.
Do I put up with you again?
I'm editing everything I just had out of the video.
Yeah.
With the magic of editing, I can look like a nice person.
We all know, though. We all know.
But yeah, so talking about Torchlight 2, just for a minute. It feels like a much more RPG game, while Diablo 3 is a much more action grind game. I think that kind of sums it up pretty well. Diablo 3 took the grind and class building mechanics from Diablo 2 and just focused on that primarily, while this seems to have taken more of the RPG elements.
Because this feels very similar to Diablo 2. Admittedly, I haven't played Diablo. This feels very similar to Diablo 2.
It does.
I played it, so.
And I have played Diablo 2 recently.
Right. But I know I've never played Diablo 3. I know you were playing it quite a bit recently, so I was kind of curious about your perspective on that.
Yeah, because I bought the Necromancer DLC.
Right.
So I've been playing that a lot.
I'm having fun with it. It's kind of a nice game that it gives you enough excitement, but we can kind of run it in the background while we're discussing the topics. So.
In between deaths.
Right. Where you make fun of me.
No, I died 5 times today. So.
I know. He knows I didn't make fun of you like you made fun of me.
I know, I'm a horrible person. I don't know why this shocks you.